Hi folks, Timothy Brown here, Chief Executive Officer of Roy Corporation, and your host of Profitable Practice TV. 2015, the market in review. What happened? I get straight to the facts. This year, 2015, the practice that sold for the highest ratio of its sale price to its most recent annual gross income, 231%. That's the high gross, 231% of last year's gross income. The low gross, the practice that sold for the lowest price in relation to its last year's annual gross income, 14% of gross income. That was a chart sale. The equipment in the facility was not included, 14%. 231% to 14%. What a range. There is no average, folks. There is no rule of thumb. You can't rely on what you hear in the marketplace from bankers, accountants, lawyers, or anyone you listen to that practices in Toronto or Canada today are selling for this percentage of gross. It just doesn't add up. Last year, by the way, the high gross was 164%. So this year, we exceeded that by almost 60% more. 164 last year, 230% of gross this year. Wow. What's most important in appraisal and valuation is really the adjusted cash flow or the net income. Gross matters, and it's a rule of thumb that everybody uses to assess a practice in their mind, but what really matters is the bottom line, because the bottom line drives value more than the top line. The practice that sold for the highest ratio compared to its last year's adjusted net income or cash flow, 704%, 7 times adjusted cash, the record in our database in the year 2015. The low net, the practice that sold for the lowest amount in relation to its net income to its sale price, 44% of net. So from 1/2 of 1 year's net, or 44%, to 7 times its last year's net. There is no rule of thumb, folks. Things change and things change fast. That's the data available to me here at Roy Corp. We're the largest in the nation. We've sold more practices than anybody this year, but we don't always get the information from our competitors because we don't share our data. And a lot of the things that we hear in the marketplace are hard to substantiate or to validate because they come from lawyers, accountants, and bankers and other dentists. They're not allowed to give names or locations, and they can't tell us the extenuating circumstances behind some of these deals. Did the seller stay on? Was there real estate included? Was there a loan or a mortgage applied to the practice or to the real estate if it was included? What other circumstances may have been involved? Was a spouse hired as part of the transaction? Or consulting fees paid from the buyer to the seller in order to accelerate taxation? It's really hard to get this nailed down because the companies that do what we do, we don't share our data together because there is no multiple listing service. But this is the largest database, this is the most empirical, and it's purified and it's validated by myself, Timothy Brown. Corporate dentistry. What happened in 2015 in the realm of corporate dentistry? The big companies, the people that are buying multiple practices. They've really stepped up their game, folks, and many mature or mid-career dentists have reported to me and to my associates they've been approached by a corporate dental buyer, and that's fine. I would say to anyone out there that's working in corporate dentistry or possibly thinking of selling to a corporate interest, I think you need to explore your options before you say yes. There are some very reputable companies in the corporate dentistry world in Canada. They're growing, they have access to capital, they have some excellent management teams, but their offers are unique and their offers to sellers are unique to their business model, and they don't fit everybody. I've spoken to many more dentists who've said their proposal from a corporate dental entity didn't fit their long-term plan than I've heard people say it fits, and I went ahead and I proceeded and sold my practice, Tim. I would caution you, if you're the owner of a practice and you've been approached by a corporate entity, stop, look around, consult with other people in the industry that are experts, your accountant, your lawyer, your banker, and certainly all the brokers of Canada, myself and my competitors. We all have a little advice to offer on that. Be careful, be slow, but be aware and do your research. For sale by owner, what the real estate industry calls FSBO, people that sell their own practice and their own property. The for sale by owner marketplace has become a little heated lately because there's an overwhelming number of buyers in the marketplace. Our company has a registry called the New Listing Service, and we have almost 1,400 buyers on that service. And they can unsubscribe anytime they want, and folks, the list is growing and the list is growing rapidly. The for sale by owner marketplace, it's stimulated by the lack of the number of sellers who are listing with brokers and ready to go to market to offer their practice to a new buyer. Because there's still this short supply of buyers, which has been that way for years, and it's likely to stay that way for a number of years, purchasers get frustrated, so they go direct. They go direct to the owner and say, I want to buy your practice. I live in this area. I've heard great things about you and your practice. Please sell me your practice. Let's do a deal. You don't have to pay a commission. I'll pay the appraisal fee. So frustrated buyers are driving certain business owners to consider selling privately. The first optic is, if you're a business owner, I don't have to pay a commission. Well, that's true. If you sell privately, you don't. You'll still pay legal fees and accounting fees. And from what I've heard from the legal and accounting profession, their fees are generally higher in a private sale because they have to do more, because there's no broker involved doing what they provide as a service. I can't say to you, brokers will get you a higher sale price. That's an invalid claim, and it's something that I can't validate, because if you sell your practice privately and a broker like my firm or one of my competitors can't sell it, how could we possibly compare the result you can get to the result we can get? So we can't promise you we'll get you a higher price. What we can promise you is that the empirical system that companies like Roy Corporation have established bring multiple parties to the table. We create a silent sealed bid competition. And by bringing more buyers into the equation, all the surveys of all of the residential real estate companies and the professional practice brokers like mine indicate price goes up, because competition creates demand, and higher demand creates higher sale prices. Those are fundamental laws of economics, folks. If you're thinking of selling your practice to a corporate, please do your research. If you're thinking of selling your practice privately, while the optics are there's no commission, there's a multitude of other things to consider. Talk to your lawyer, talk to your accountant, talk to your colleagues who've sold their practices. Maybe they sold to a corporate, maybe they sold privately, maybe they sold through one of the brokers in the nation. Do your research and be sure. Last thing I want to mention for the 2015 market wrap is that the 6th edition of my book is now ready. It'll be out in January. I've updated the stats, the predictions, the numbers. There's over 5,000 copies of my book out there now. You may already have one, but the 6th edition is coming out. You can pre-order at profitable-practice.com. That website will be on the screen for you now. 2016 predictions, I think it's just going to get better, folks. Based on everything that we've looked at, particularly bank financing, interest rates may even go down in 2016, folks. I find that a little surprising, but it could happen. Interest rates remain low, banks remain confident, the number of buyers remains overwhelming. Over 1,200 dentists are likely to obtain a dental license in Canada in the year 2016 through all the various means. We still do not have enough retiring dentists, and the imbalance remains very severe. It is indeed continuing to be a seller's market. Short supply of listings, high supply of buyers, low interest rates. That makes for a seller's market. My prediction for the year 2016, the value of good, well-established practices in Canada will go up another 3 to 5%. I'm Timothy Brown, Chief Executive Officer of Roy Corporation, your host of Profitable Practice TV. Thanks for watching.